everyone, my name is Milla and today we're going to be talking about all the books I've read so far this year. I've actually been reading a lot this month, or what I consider to be a lot. Some people have already read like 20-30 books and I'm happy that I read 8 so far. Yay! Some of them I loved, some of them I liked okay, but I'm here to talk about all of them with you guys. Okay, so the first book I read so far this year was This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. I really enjoyed this book. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. As you guys know, I love Victoria Schwab. Her writing style is very poetic and beautiful. Her characters are incredibly realistic, even in her fantasy series A Darker Shade of Magic, or even in The Savage Song, which is like an urban fantasy kind of thing. All her characters are still incredibly realistic. They have their flaws. They're in no way perfect, and that's why I love them. I honestly think it's best going into this book not really knowing too much about it. Just know that there are monsters and it's fantastic. The next book I read was More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. This book gave me all the feels. I can't tell you the number of times I cried while reading this book. I also gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. This is the only book of his that I've read so far, but I'm really intrigued to rereading more of his books because the book was hilarious, and then everything went to chaos and my heart broke over and over again. But it was a great book, even though my heart breaks a little bit each time I think about it. In the book, there's this place where they can alter your memory. So like if you had this terrible past and you just can't go on, you can come to this place and they'll alter your memory so you can go on and live your everyday life. And right when I read that on the first page, I was immediately hooked into the story. At moments, this book is hilarious. At other moments, this book is incredibly dark. But overall, it's a fantastic book. The next book I read is Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I've really loved Illuminae. The characters were amazing, and going into Gemina, I kind of expected it to just carry on from where it stopped in Illuminae, but that's not the case. We have completely different characters in Gemina, which I wasn't a big fan of at first. Like the characters in Illuminae a lot more than I like the ones in Gemina. I could not get attached to them at first, but then by the middle of the book, they kind of grew on me, and I started to really enjoy the book. I still like Illuminae more, and I gave Gemina a 4 out of 5 stars. I do really love the writing style in these books and just the whole concept of them. If you don't know, they have mixed media in them. So like in Illuminae, so there are these emails and chats and all these different things that the story is told through. It's not really told in the traditional sense of books, which I found to be incredibly unique. And that's honestly probably why I love these books so much. Yes, the storyline is incredible, but it's just there's so many unique ideas. The next 2 books I read are part of a series, and those are The Raven Boys and The Dream Thieves. Now, I had such high expectations for this series. I've heard so many incredible things about them, and I love the concepts, especially the first line in the book. That's initially what made me buy the book. Blue Sergeant had forgotten how many times she'd been told that she would kill her true love. That's probably one of the best first lines in a book that I've ever read, and that's what really made me want to read these books. And I had such high expectations, but unfortunately I really didn't fall in love with the characters. I really love the concept, but I don't know, I was just expecting so much more to the story and I found it kind of lacking. So I gave The Raven Boys 3 out of 5 stars. Because I really love the concept, I wanted to keep going and read The Dream Thieves, which unfortunately I also gave a 3 out of 5 stars. I mean, I liked it, but I just felt like there could have been so much more. It just needed something extra to make me really fall in love with it. The next book I read was The Stranger by Albert Camus. This is a very interesting book. Now, I didn't think I would like it that much, but the more I thought about it and the more I talked about it in class, I read it for English class, the more it grew on me. The protagonist in the book is an existentialist, and it was really interesting to be reading a book from an existentialist point of view because it's told in a perspective that's so different from mine, so different in the way that our protagonist views the world and sees things. The characters in this book are so bad according to my morals and my standards, and yet seeing the world through the protagonist's eyes was really fascinating. And I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5 stars, but I honestly think I would give it a 2.5 out of 5 stars because though it was interesting and to read from a new perspective, that's pretty much why I kept reading the book, was because of the perspective. It's not like there needed to be more to the story because I feel like the story is very complete in the way that it was told, because there's no definite plot which fits the style of the story and the kind of themes and messages that the author wants to bring across. Fits the story so well, but I don't know, I just didn't really connect to it. The next book I read is Candide by Voltaire. This is another classic that I read for my English class so far this year. We were doing this unit on satire. There's so much satire in this book. I really admire the way that the satire was woven into the book, because if you don't know this book is a satire and you just go and read this book, I don't think you're gonna realize it's a satire. You're just like, wow, this is a really weird classic. Things are so extreme, and then kind of get bored with the story. But no, everything in that book has a purpose. Everything is trying to get a message across, and I really, really admired that. However, it's a classic, and I have trouble connecting to classics. And though I enjoyed the concept of the story, it just kind of dragged on for me and was dull at some points, and so I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. And the last book, the book I read most recently and that I'm actually listening to again right now, is A Conjuring of Light by Victoria Schwab. I love Victoria Schwab's writing style so much. But Conjuring of Light just reminded me how much I love Victoria Schwab's writing style. This book is so beautiful. It's everything that a conclusion should be. And I listened to it so fast. It was so good that I have to listen to it again because there's 2 Victoria Schwab events going on near where I live, and I really want to go to them both. And I'm so excited because this book, if you guys haven't read A Darker Shade of Magic, and you need to, it's a fantastic book. This is definitely one of my favorite fantasy series of all times. Not even just fantasy series overall, books overall. This series, you guys, read it, please. It's fabulous. It just affected me so much. It's amazing how these fictional characters can affect you so much. It had been a while since I read a good book like that where characters had affected me in that way, or that I'd related so much to them. And it took me a little while to get right back into the story, but this book is incredibly action-packed. The writing is poetic and it's just incredibly beautiful. I highly recommend you read the series. But yes, those are all the books that I've read so far this year, so I thought I'd give you guys a quick update into what I'm reading now. So right now I'm in the middle of a few books. The first of them is actually a poetry book, and that's Milk and Honey, and I'm pretty far into this book, and the poems are beautiful and I really enjoy the concepts of them. The only problem is that I don't relate a lot to them. I'm also currently reading Vicious by Victoria Schwab. It's a little bit hard to get into. It's a really cool concept. I remember listening to her speak about it. So basically she wrote this as kind of like an experiment, like there's no definite good side, no definite bad side, and she wanted to write it because she wanted to see which side readers would pick. So neither side is good, but both have different intentions and both have different motivations, which is just such an intriguing concept, and I'm really enjoying it so far. The next book I'm reading is actually Throne of Glass, but it's actually the Spanish edition. So right now I'm taking my 3rd year of Spanish, and I really want to become fluent in Spanish. There's so much vocabulary that I don't know, and I thought that picking up a book that I'm familiar with and reading through it, looking up words, would help me expand not only my vocabulary but my understanding of the language. I'm only like 3 pages into it because it takes me so freaking long to read another language. But yes, those are all the books I've read so far in 2017. But yes, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you all are having a lovely day. My name's Milla, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Why did this happen? I don't even know what's spoiler free and what's not anymore. There's these series of emails in... Hello? What?
Let me check your mail. You have at least 25 emails since February 3rd, 2017. Here are the latest 3. Shall I read them to you?
No.
Fine.
Siri's always listening. That was scary. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna sneeze. Hello everyone! I feel like I'm punching you in the face. That's great. Okay.